Hey guys, welcome back to the Greenback Voyage podcast. I'm your host Shrevin, and here with me is Joel.
And
Hey
I haven't
guys.
been in a while, but I'm
Oh
back.
yeah,
Probably-
it's just been the two of us for how long? 2 weeks
Two
now.
weeks, yep.
Yeah.
But now I'm
I
finally
think so.
back from my hiatus. My vacation was
Yes,
great.
yes. Yeah, Krishna got canceled, so unfortunately we had to kick him off for a bit.
That's not true. I was in Colombia for some meetings with Hillary, but okay.
See, it always comes back to the emails. That's all it is. But yeah, I guess let's get it started off right this week. Let's go techie. Let's talk about Apple's new iOS update that's coming out this fall.
I'm actually
Your thoughts on it?
I'm actually pretty psyched for iOS 15. So there's a lot of features in it that really struck out. So one of the best features that I saw was kind of their FaceTime to Android shift, where it's essentially Zoom's business model, right? Where in FaceTime you have a link, you send it to other people, and even on an Android phone you can just join in the browser. And that's beautiful because now it's a competition for Zoom because now you can screen share on it, you can watch movies on it, you can listen to music on it. FaceTime is insane now.
Yeah.
But how are they going to make it compatible with Android? Are they making their own app?
No.
No,
It's
no.
browser
You
based.
Oh, okay. That's kind of insane then.
Yep.
You just send like the link to your other Android user, and they just click on it, and it
Oh,
goes to
does it have to be Android? You can do it on Windows then if it's
Yeah,
browser.
you can.
yeah.
Yep.
It's
Oh.
a cross-platform. Yeah.
Wow. If only they could make Messenger cross-platform. That would be great.
Nah. Their whole philosophy is to keep a walled, garden, so to speak. That exclusivity is what builds that Apple brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty surprised they made FaceTime this way. Maybe it's just to compete with Zoom, but I don't think it's gonna be for other apps.
No, I think a big reason that was like stopping a lot of people was kind of like they were disappointed in Apple for not allowing FaceTime to be cross-platform, whereas like Android's video chat, which is like I think Google what's that thing called?
Google Meet.
Yeah, Google Meets, that thing, right? So Google Meets was cross-platform. I can get it on iPhone and call you, right? Same thing with Skype. So I think just to fit into like the market, Apple made it cross-platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing we have to talk about is the increased privacy, which they're stating.
That actually they added it in the latest patch of iOS 14, and I think it's taking like a greater step in iOS 15. So they kind of limit it. So every app now is in its own sandbox environment, right? So essentially, when you're in an app, no other apps can really interfere with it unless you give it permission. That's one great improvement. The second improvement is that it asks you whether the app can track your data or not. And that's amazing because if you just say no, then the app gets no information from other system processes.
Yeah, and I think this iOS update they're gonna show what if you do the option to allow advertisers to track, it will show like what they're looking into and how long they're looking into, which is Apple is doing the right step in promoting privacy, right? So it's good.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, they don't need to be making money off ads. They're over $2 trillion company now.
that is
so,
true. That is true.
Yeah, they don't really need support from ads, if anything.
And two other features that iOS 15 brought up that are monumental is they're using AI to actually kind of just redesign your notifications experience. So typically on your phone, when your notifications are organized in order, correct? Like whenever you get the notification, that's the order it's in. So if I got a notification like 5 hours ago and I got a notification now, that 5-hour notification is buried because I'm going to see my most recent notification. That's not always convenient because sometimes I'm away from my phone. Whereas now with Apple's iOS 15, the notifications auto-arrange themselves based on priority. So the first notifications you look at are basically the ones you want to look at based on artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, probably like it will look through, it'll track like what apps you're using the most, and
Yep.
if that notification pops up, that'll be on the top, right?
Yep. Yep. And you can also set your priorities, so you have a bit of
I
flexibility
mean,
there as well.
they already have something kind of like that, right? Like the quiet notification versus the primary notification.
That doesn't
Uh,
work the same way. So that kind of just silences certain notifications and shows you only certain ones. But this one, even if you have all your notifications on, it auto filters.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool to see.
And finally,
Uh,
the best feature about it, right, is the OCR, which they brought to the camera app. So basically, if you take a picture of something with like text on it, right? Like for example, if I wrote notes in my notebook, I can take a picture of that and I can start copying the text on my notebook into other apps. Like straight up, it copies in like whatever font you
Oh.
want and everything. It's straight just OCR where you take the picture and the text just flies into other apps.
Is it like, I mean, you, what if you put like x squared, right? Would that also copy into it?
Oh
Or would it
yeah,
be
oh
just
yeah.
x2?
It has super scripting features as well. I don't know how they did it, but the I've seen some demos of it and it's very very well built. Like it's one of the best
I mean
OCR platforms out
that
there.
technology's been out for a while.
I know, but Apple has
It's not
improved it and
as
made it native to their
yeah.
own camera app. That's something.
It's not as it was not as advanced as Apple's doing right now.
Hmm.
But in previous years, what you could do is write down notes while like you're recording a speaker,
Hmm.
and the app itself will like you can like transcribe it and then play it again, so that whenever the speaker is talking, you can see what notes were written down where, so you can kind of understand why you wrote down those notes.
Yeah.
So that's what was there before. But yeah, what Apple's done is just taking it to another level.
Yeah, and I think the Apple adding it to the native like camera app is going to take out those notebooks. Remember those notebooks that you can
Oh,
like
yeah.
write notes on and you scan.
It's called
you, like,
Rocketbook, right?
Yeah, Rocketbook, that one especially, where it just takes it all to like Evernote or like the cloud or whatever, right? Apple's taking them all out of business because you can essentially import all your notes into Notes, which is basically the new Evernote replacement. So I think Evernote as a business is going to see some tank in sales. You're gonna see a Rocketbook completely go out of business because who's gonna buy Rocketbook for $50 when I can just do it on my iPhone?
All right, I think our tech geekiness has to come to an end as this is a finance show.
Unfortunate.
I think the main finance thing that's come out of this keynote is the sneaky defensive maneuver that Apple tried to play, where it was talking about the App Store, and it was saying stuff like, "Oh, it's paid over 230 billion to developers since opening in 2008. It's helped out developers so much over the years, providing them code and access to the App Store." And it's kind of a shot against Epic Games. That's what's kind of going on there. I don't know what side you guys are on in terms of the Apple or Epic Games battle. I think we had a conversation about it a while ago.
Yeah, we did
Um,
cover when the case closed, right after the
Yeah,
closing
when the
statements.
final case closed. I think I'm on Apple's side. I don't know.
I would say
what you
Apple's
two
side
are
too,
on.
because think about it, right? Like when you get ridiculous amount of in-app purchases on your app, right? You kind of owe the person who's allowing you to host that app. Because first off, in the United States, iPhone sales, they have the market share, right? And you have games like Fortnite that are super popular and everyone's playing on their phone. And when they buy like V-Bucks and stuff, I feel like Apple deserves some sort of royalty on it, obviously. Because
See, I agree with that in a way. Like I understand what you're saying. I disagree with the notion that Apple shouldn't really be, taking a 30% royalty out of it. I think it should be a bit less. My notion for why Apple should win is just based on the fact that Epic Games kind of knew what they were doing when they circumvented the whole App Store payment process. And I mean, it's a risk they took, and it's a risk they got caught with. So, I mean, they deserve to get punished in the way that, however, the courts decide to be.
Right. I mean, it's a breach of contract, right? When you put the app on the App Store, you got to pay that 30% cut. And if you try to, like you said, circumvent it, then you're going to pay the fines. And that's what's going on right now, right?
yep. It's kind of just like a privilege to be on the App Store, the most wanted store in the country right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think it should be 30%. Maybe if there's some way they could cut it down, for smaller developers especially, that might help. But
Okay, but you need to
yeah,
understand that Apple sets the market price.
yeah, that no doubt about it. But at the same time, you don't want to see a monopoly come of it just because Apple and Google are, taking over the entire App Store market. So, you want to see some competition in the space.
I
And
guess
yeah,
so.
that's kind of my thing of it. I still think Apple should win, but at the same time, maybe they should think more leniently on how they want to price their
Well,
royalty fees.
there's not a lot of developers or companies that are backing Epic Games on this, right? A lot of people
No.
are kind of quiet about this, so I guess they're okay with it. It's just that Epic Games didn't go through the right, proper legal channels to do this, so that's why.
I mean, also, I don't think any other smaller developer out there has the legal resources to fight Apple on this.
Yeah, but it's also like the big developers that are not, taking Epic Games' side on this, right? You can't really take their side,
Yep.
right? They did something
Yeah.
illegal, so.
All right, I think that's enough about Apple for now. We can move on to the next big tech thing,
Bezos going to
hopefully of this
space.
century. Not only that, I think we haven't really talked much about space tourism or private, space companies. So, I mean, we can start off with Bezos if you want. What do you guys think about that? Him taking his maiden flight in July.
Yeah.
But he's
I
risking
think
it
it's
all
like-
to go to space. like the dude has $200 billion. Like, does he really want to risk space right now?
I mean, he survived a helicopter crash, I think, about 10 years ago, so I think he's pretty invincible at this point.
That's not the same thing as space. Like, some astronauts train for their entire lives and still get rejected.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
He's rich enough, and he's doing it with his brother. So,
not just his brother, right? There's also a third seat, and there's actually bidding going on for the third seat. I think it's like a few $1,000,000 right now.
Oh
I think
my
the
God.
bidding,
oh yeah, that's what they're saying, right? Like
Yeah.
2.8 was the starting bid.
yeah, around that. Yeah, so
It's
some
probably hundreds
lucky
of millions.
some lucky millionaire is gonna get a ride with Bezos, couple of hours, and he can talk to him about anything, get all that advice. So, who knows?
See, the thing is,
Wait.
like, with rich billionaires, there's a concept called the Pareto Distribution. So basically, the Pareto Distribution states that if you have wealth, it attracts more wealth. And the more wealth you have, the larger the amount of wealth you bring in is, right? So the curve is exponential. So a trend you see with most billionaires is that once they kind of hit like the 50 billion like range, or even less, honestly, they don't need to hit that. They usually compete with like the next big thing. So we have Elon with SpaceX, right? Which was the next big thing. Now Bezos is kind of just starting Blue Origin as like a side investment piece, essentially.
I mean, he started way back actually. Blue Origin was actually the first rocket or company to land a rocket back on the fuselage to land back, and SpaceX did it after.
I understand
He's
that,
been-
but he never like wanted to do like. There was no interest in space tourism. I'm saying like right now this is commercial flight to space. It's essentially getting on like a Boeing 787 and going to California. That's the same concept here. And that's a
Right.
completely like new business model, right? And I think most billionaires are kind of like transcending into that space because it's a venture that requires a lot of capital, and not everyone can enter that.
Interesting. I didn't even know Blue Origin was the first maiden flight.
They were the
As well,
first
that's
to
kinda interesting.
land back a rocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, I guess we can move on from there. I think Joel, you can talk more about this since you've been bragging to us
Well,
this
you
week
made
about
you
Virgin
made
Galactic.
quite the amount of money off SPCE.
I mean, it's kind of insane. Like, I remember, what was it, a couple podcasts ago, we were talking about how SPACs were sort of dying, like no one was talking about them anymore.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden they're on the rise again.
Hey, it's a Chumuk SPAC, okay? Don't question my man Chumuk.
So
That's true. I
The
mean,
reason
Clover's up there as well.
the reason why they're getting a lot of attention now is because these SPACs were shorted heavily, and with the recent rise in AMC, right, with the short squeeze, a lot of buzz going around with SPACs right now because they also have really high short interest, and that's what you saw with Clover today. But yeah, I mean, I think many of the social capital SPACs are getting a lot of inflow right now, and overall, the SPAC sentiment has definitely gone very bullish right now because of the whole short squeeze.
But specifically with Virgin Galactic, they had. What's the deal with them? There was some news about them.
It was just Bezos announced that he was going on his flight, and and Virgin Galactic started, shooting up.
Yeah, but before then, like Virgin Galactic, they said they're planning to launch sometime late this year or early next year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like they moved up the timeline, and yeah, who knows? Maybe they can finally start bringing in some revenue.
I've been seeing this trend, right, with Virgin Galactic. So I'll be honest, I have no clue what advancements they've been doing in the space regime, right? But every time something about space comes up, right, the market automatically just starts hyper buying Virgin Galactic and it shoots up. Like I don't get why, but like whenever you see space in the slightest, it's just Virgin Galactic pops.
It's probably because it's the only like public company that's popular enough, and it's also related to space, right? Space, or not space, but I would say like atmospheric travel, and it's very hyped up stock. So if anything that's related to atmospheric travel or space comes up, then everyone's going to think about Virgin Galactic first, right? So that's probably why a lot of retail investors go to that stock first.
Oh,
and the other thing I've noticed. And the other thing I've noticed with SpaceX is that every time their stock rises above a certain level, you'll see them issue new shares.
Are they trying to like keep it at a certain range or something?
No, they just want as much capital. Yeah, they just want as much capital as possible. If you look at their past like share issuances, it's every time the stock pops and then it's starting to like decline a bit, they'll issue more shares.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic example, right? I mean, like Neo, for example, when their stock, shot up, they issued like over $7 or $8 billion worth of stock. So, I mean, I think this is probably.
I mean, it's a smart move, but at the same time, it's like that's the only cash that they're bringing in for Virgin Galactic, at least.
Yeah, I mean, they're not commercial yet, right? They're still testing.
No.
Yeah, so it's not like they're sending people up right now.
Okay, and then I think the last one we need to talk about, I know we mentioned SpaceX before, but specifically, I don't know if you guys have heard of the new rocket cargo program that is...
what is that?
It's a new U.S. military program that aims to basically send, materials to space as fast as possible so it can get to, the battlefield. So it's a faster way of transportation. And what the U.S. military right now is looking for, someone to basically do this. And right now SpaceX is looking like the main target for them have this contract.
Let me understand this. So the U.S. military wants to send arms into space? Is that what rocket cargo is?
I mean,
they want to send arms as fast as possible.
You could say it like that. That's exactly
the
what it is.
What? Why do you want to weaponize space?
They don't want to weaponize space. They just want to transport things faster for now.
That's what they always say. That's what they said about Yemen too. What happened?
Oh man.
I mean, are we surprised that they want to do this?
No,
no,
not in the slightest.
I'm surprised it took them this long.
But Joel, this is the reason why I don't work for the government.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work in that sector, bro. So, yeah, well, I mean, sooner or later space is gonna be a war zone. Let's be honest, a few decades from now. So
I hope not, man. I don't want to be asteroids. I don't want to be like shot by an asteroid. Like I can see that happening in the next couple of years.
real life Star Wars.
Yeah,
coming soon.
Literally, you see like a stormtrooper in like flying down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing my mind.
Well, you just see the beams, laser beams in the sky.
Yeah, you just see a Death Star instead of the moon.
We're laughing about this, but one day there's going to be, like the International Space Station, there's going to be some station where it's completely weaponized with guns and everything, and Russia, China,
someone has to clip
US is gonna have
this.
Dude, that's way too far down the line. Like, I don't think even my grandkids would see that.
I mean, I don't know, man. With the way technology is going, sometimes we think it's pretty bad, but
But you also
we've
need
done
to take into account, like, modern scientists have predicted that Moore's law, which is essentially the technological progression law, right? That's what predicts how fast
Mhm.
technology progresses. They Moore's law from the beginning was always a logistic growth curve. So eventually it's going to hit a ceiling and it caps there, right? And we're approaching that ceiling right now. Like companies like Intel and AMD are not able to innovate at the same level they were able to like 20 years ago. It's flattened out. Whereas if you look 5 years back, Intel's like rate of um expansion kind of, right? Like progression in their technology was massive. Now it's like flattening out. That's gonna apply throughout like every single sector. So it's Moore's law kind of just like flattening. I don't think technological progression is going to be at the same rate.
Has it started to flatten?
Yeah,
Like, have you
yeah,
seen?
it has. Especially in the
Okay.
technological sector, it's flattening like crazy. Like think about it, right? Like
Interesting.
Apple, sure they added like 3 new features in iOS 15, but is that the same level of innovation as from iOS 4 to like iOS 5?
Yeah, but Apple's kind of different. You can't really take them into account. I can understand where you're going about Intel and AMD. But yeah, Apple's kind of different. Like Steve Jobs was the innovator. Tim Cook is the businessman. He knew where he needed to take Apple, and he's taken them to new
I mean,
heights.
that's a very neat, like, it's a very generalizing notion actually, right? Because Apple's rolling out products like they brought in air tags, and a few other things.
Yeah,
right?
but
AirPods,
it's not like new innovative products like the iPhone was, or the iPod, or the Mac. Like those were insane.
Like
when
these
they
are not
came out.
innovations that shock you. Like an innovation that would
Yeah.
shock you is like Neuralink, right? That's shocking technology. Where
Like
yeah.
AirPods, for example, like Bluetooth headphones were there before. It was just never as good as Apple's once it came out, but it was still there. Samsung came out with, great cameras before Apple did, and some of the features that Apple has supposedly taken some of their ideas from. So
I mean,
it's not as
we're
innovative as it
definitely
was
innovating.
before.
I mean, if you look at Android phones, right? We had fingerprint scanners that were, a tangible thing, right? Where you would, put it on your home button or something. But now everything's on a display, right? We would never have thought that a display, like an LED display, would have a fingerprint scanner. That would just yeah. So innovation is happening.
No, I'm not
a lot of
denying that
space.
innovation's not happening. I'm saying the innovation's not happening at the same rate it used to. Because eventually every single growth curve hits a certain ceiling. So
Have they figured out what that ceiling is?
I don't think so. There's actually some math behind this. There's like a technological index that they use to reference the level technology is moving. And the last time I kind of touched upon that, they were talking about how it's slowly reducing at like the speed of technological advancement is reducing at like a steady rate. And I believe they touched up on it in my CS class as well. I don't have all the information, so we're gonna have to wait for the next podcast for that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes some sort of sense why Intel's been sort of lacking in the space and why AMD has sort of taken over.
And you also need to take into account resources, right? Because most of these innovations require some sort of like minerals, silicone, uh, lithium, all sorts of minerals, right? To power them. And eventually these minerals, they're not infinite. They're gonna run out. And we're expending them at like a rate we've never seen before. That's why you have GM with the chip shortages, you have Tesla scattering for funds. So I don't know where technology is gonna be in the future, but I'm just saying like unless we mine from like space, we're in a crisis.
What do you think is going to be the next revolution then? Because we had the transportation revolution, industrial revolution, revolutions itself of governments and all, and then the technological revolution.
I mean, I
So,
guess that kind of goes back to our second main topic for today, space, right? So if we can capitalize on mining space instead of militarizing space, actually getting minerals from space, right? Like if we go to the moon and mine it, or if we go to like Mars and mine it, we could find all sorts of minerals with like different applications, right? That could be a
Prob-
solution.
probably the next revolution would be a green revolution, something like that, where we try to save the Earth from global warming, right? Instead of trying to leave it, go to Mars or something.
No, I'm not saying
Try to
leaving.
fix
I'm
it.
saying mine resources from there and import back to Earth.
Well, what are you gonna mine?
Resources that we could need. Like, for example, lithium is not infinite, and lithium is one of the main reasons why we're in a battery shortage. So if we can mine lithium from like the moon or Mars, I don't know. I'm just giving hypothetical situations.
Yeah,
here.
I mean there are insane amount of metals.
Yeah.
In some planets.
Same thing with
Right, but
silicon, right?
It's gonna like imagine you bring like thousands of tons of this particular mineral or metal back to Earth. What's gonna happen to the prices of that supply? Right, supply is gonna exponentially increase in a short period of time.
I mean that's good. Cheaper technology, I'm not complaining. More supply for any product is really not an issue for the consumer, like ever.
Right, so that means like that corporation that's gonna develop the rocket, develop the mining capability to go to moon, they're gonna have a payday, whereas the corporations on Earth who are trying to mine minerals here will just go out of business immediately because their manufacturing power won't be able to compete with the cheap minerals that are coming back. And also, I mean, it probably isn't that cheap too. I mean, to take a rocket into space, all the logistics to go to a particular asteroid or the moon, bring it back is a very, very tough process, and it also is very expensive. So
I mean, it is an
but
expensive process.
That's why
so
it's a revolution.
that's kind of like the
so
opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Right, so that's where guys like Elon Musk comes in, where he's trying to make space travel, cheaper. So that's probably space revolution will definitely happen. I mean, once we go to Mars, we start colonizing it and setting up territories. Right, other countries will start setting up territories, and that's probably interplanetary revolution, as you would call it, I guess.
I mean, the main thing we need is water, because I think we can make artificial food on its own. We just need some sort of soil or starting point for it. But yeah, we just need water. If we can find water on some planet, then it's just a matter of how do we get there.
It'd be kind of funny if Bezos went to like the moon and came back with like Martians, like Buddy just popped in some aliens and just pulled them back to Earth. Like I'm just waiting for something to happen. I just wanted some sort of evidence that there's life outside of Earth.
The past few months, the amount of alien buzz has been going on. It's just increased so much.
I mean,
It's like-
that's true because space is also in the news all the time, so people are gonna get, in their fantasy land about it. But I'm just hoping that it actually happens. Like if they discover life, like we're no longer just how there's national and then there's international. We're gonna have interplanetary, and that's gonna be kind of cool.
Let's just hope they're not hostile.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't there like a U.S. Navy report where like some pilot was talking about how he saw some UFO?
Yeah, there's multiple actually.
And yeah, there was multiple occasions of it. Didn't know really what to think of that, but it's interesting.
There's this recent one where on a Navy ship, they were looking at a radar, right? And the craft that they were monitoring dropped like few tens of thousands of feet within seconds and just went straight into the water, right? This is an actual like craft that they were monitoring, and this was one of the recent reports that were like leaked. And cool thing right now I think is I think DoD is gonna file they're gonna declassify a bunch of files in a few weeks, I think. So we'll have access to what they've been going through and everything.
Wow.
Are they declassifying because the term limits run out, or
I think there's
because they want to?
a lot of public pressure. I think that's also.
Yeah, but that hasn't stopped the CIA, so why would that stop them as well?
There's just a lot of leaks, right? I mean, the past few months, right? So might as well put everything out, right? And if they're willing to put everything out, then that automatically tells you that there's really nothing major or significant to be found if the DoD is going to declassify everything.
Maybe they might black out everything.
We kind of are digressing. We started from the economics of space and somehow ended up in our own Star Wars universe. So I think it's time to get back home and talk about work at home versus working in an office. What do you guys think? What do you think is the future of corporate America? And do you guys think that there will ever be a time when we actually go back to work, or is it all going to be work from home?
I mean, the interesting thing about this, and the reason I wanted to talk about it, was, a lot of the tech companies are now having employees kind of refute the notion of working at the office. One, possibly because they're not even close to the city anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of moved away.
Yeah.
And two, because what type of tech person wants to go into work when they can just open their laptop and start programming at home?
That is also true. Speaking from personal experience, no Fidelity employee actually really needs to go into work unless they're like doing some hands-on hardware things or some sort of server management, right? Like most of them can literally sit at their laptops and do their work. Like I have access to all the repositories and I can just push and commit my code anytime I want, which is great. And I've seen a lot of other companies like Oracle, IBM, Amazon are also shifting to this work from home landscape, which is working out very well for software developers because they save a lot of money on gas as well. The company saves money on travel. It's a win-win for
and
almost
office
everyone.
space.
And office
Office
space,
rent.
right? So I honestly see certain technological companies kind of shifting to that workscape.
It won't be like a fully remote. I think that companies will slowly come back to maybe like a hybrid situation where people will come in for like 2 days of the week just to have that social aspect. Because how long are you gonna be on your computer?
No. Yeah,
attending
I
Zoom
get
calls
that.
and
Yeah.
You can't just be on a monitor your entire life. So they'll probably do like 2 or 3 days where you come into the building, and you go into the conference meeting and talk to people, maybe have a lunch, and I think like Salesforce is doing that and a few other companies are doing that. So that's
The hybrid workspace is also like pretty much the same thing. It's like it's saving both sides a lot of money, and I think it's honestly where the corporate America should be and move to.
Funny thing is, like, I heard from an AWS employee that Amazon's forcing all employees to come back to their buildings. There's not going to be remote work anymore. Like 90% of the AWS employees will have to come back to their respective buildings.
I mean, for
that's
AWS,
interesting,
it's
'cause-
a bit different because they have to work on the server side
Yeah.
as well. It's not only
But
software.
I mean, most of the employees are working on like new products to be put on the server. It's not like they're actually with the servers, right? Servers are on some other location. They're just coding new products, right? They're not at some AWS server. That's in some data center somewhere. But the buildings they're forcing their like software engineers to come back, which is surprising.
Yes, the thing
That is
I
interesting.
guess it's like different in divisions of Amazon because I have a family friend who works for the Alexa division, and they're kind of switching to a lot more remote environment where almost everything Alexa related is done from their computers, and they're kind of moving to the hybrid scape as well. So I guess it's not like a company wide thing. I think it's like based on departments too. But yeah, I definitely want to
it'll
see
be-
a lot more hybrid workspaces in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy going to the office, to be honest. If I'm at home, I probably won't be as productive. So.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I mean, also I'm in the finance and business side, so
You would have to go in all the time.
yeah, I would have to go in no matter what because we need that social aspect. That is half of our business.
Don't end up like Jordan Belfort.
Oh yes,
That would be
the
unfortunate.
man who makes money all the legal ways.
Oh yeah.
Shravan, you better give us some financial documents. I know Carrier's a public company, so.
Yeah, and then I'd get fired within 3 minutes of sending those
It's okay.
documents
It's
out.
okay. You take one for the team. I make the money and I split it with you. Easy. Easy. It's all for a cause.
Yeah, we'll just buy a bunch of weeklies if there's good news coming around.
Yeah, and see, remember,
Yeah,
if we get
definitely.
rich enough, the SEC will not touch us because it's a slogan at this point. The SEC only tweaks when a regular commoner, does something wrong. Some big organization does something like BlackRock, the SEC is like, "Oh, something happened? Sorry, I was in the Bahamas." So if we make enough money, the SEC won't touch us.
And I think that's a great note to leave it on. So thank you guys for listening in to this week's podcast. We hope you had a great time listening to our rants about tech, Apple. What else did we talk about? Space revolution.
And the
Yeah,
SEC.
we were wow. It's a weird week this week, but hey, that's how life goes, I guess. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Make sure to follow us on Spotify or YouTube, whichever platform you're on. Get your vaccines out there. We're almost there. I know some colleges, like Virginia Tech now, are requiring students to show their vaccination cards. It's an interesting move theirs. But other than that, we will see you guys next time.